hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Glad you all found us. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You'll see it here in this corner or down below. You will also will see some of the books by our next guest. We're excited to welcome back best-selling author, motivational speaker, and media personality, Chanelle Coleman Wesley, to our broadcast. You guys know her because of this book. She said yes to herself unapologetically, but now she's gearing up for a brand new release that's already a bestseller here on Amazon. If you guys have not heard about it, here it is. It's the Empower Her Blueprint, Empowerment Strategies for Women of Faith on the Rise. We're going to talk to Chanelle not only about the new book, but also because it is National Entrepreneurship Month, about her own entrepreneurship journey, what it's been like for her to add the slashes behind her name, and also some events she has coming up as well. If you guys not staying connected with Chanelle, we'll let you guys know how to be able to do that. I want to say hello to you guys on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. I see you over there, Dwight. Good to be able to see you over there on the IG side. Carolyn, hello to you. Chanelle, welcome back to the broadcast.
Hey, Cyrus, thank you so very much for having me. As always, I'm always excited to be on the platform.
Well, look, I appreciate you being on with us as well. Chanelle, first of all, let's start with congratulations on the brand new book, The Empower Her Blueprint, already a #1 new release, as we just showed. What has it been like for you to see the response to the upcoming release?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank my publicist who gave me a real good push last week to go ahead and start promoting that book. And so I want to thank him. He's indirectly responsible for making sure that I had the bestseller last week. So thank you, Cyrus.
Well, you're welcome, Chanelle. You know, Chanelle gives me a hard time. I just want y'all to know. I'm really a nice guy. Everybody knows this. I'm a nice guy, but Chanelle gives me a hard time. But no, Chanelle, seriously, I'm very excited about this. I know this is something that you worked for, you wanted, and it's not your first. I mean, this book that's here now, she said yes to herself unapologetically, was another bestseller. You had other bestsellers. But what is different about the Empower Her Blueprint, Chanelle? What is it that makes this book special?
Cyrus, I'm so glad that you asked that question. When I say the Empower Her Blueprint, Strategies for Women of Faith on the Rise is going to be a game changer for so many women. I believe that this is some of my best writing to date. I'm just going to go out and say that it was a time where I really had to dig deep just on myself and to think about the women who I wanted to be able to see take that next level, that next step, whatever that may be for that woman. I wanted something that was going to be not only a survival guide of how I made it through and pivoted from some transitional points in my own experience, but I wanted it to be a blueprint for that woman to be able to walk outside of her own fires and to come out not smelling like smoke.
I love that. I love that pitch. So, Chanelle, it is National Entrepreneurship Month. So this gives us an opportunity to not only talk about the new book. Of course, it's available for pre-order for you guys joining us on the Amazon side. Have it highlighted for you guys on the carousel. For those not joining us on Amazon, we have the link that'll bring you guys over to Amazon. So you have the new book. You also have some upcoming events. We're going to talk more about that. You also are a motivational speaker. I mentioned that. For those who don't know, she also does voiceover work. She does promos, and outside of all of that, she also has her own show she's launched. This last time that she's been on with us. When did you realize that you were an entrepreneur, Chanelle? When did it become clear for you that you could not only work on someone else's team, but that you could lead your own team?
You know what, Cyrus? I want to say that I've always known it. I didn't always take the steps to pursue it. I allowed some limiting beliefs to hold me back. I could do this, but, or I'll do it when, and those dates just kind of hung out there. And I just allowed myself to become immersed into other people's dreams, into their visions, and helping them to pursue their goals. And while I loved being able to support others, I still knew that there was something deep down inside of myself that I truly hadn't unpacked yet. And so there were some points where I hadn't said yes to myself yet. And so that evolutionary process is where I've come to full circle to this moment where I can now say that I'm actually thankful and grateful for those times of serving. Why? Because it helps me to be a great servant leader on this part of my journey. And it equips me to be able to be an entrepreneur that's going to be in a point where I can serve others in this position that I am in currently.
Right, exactly. And one thing about Chanelle and I have talked about this, is that Chanelle loves to be able to inspire, to empower others. She loves to be able to bring others along, which is a great quality. But she also, one of the things we talked about though, is that understanding the importance of making sure that she's good first. So as an entrepreneur, for you, Chanelle, for other entrepreneurs looking at you or aspiring entrepreneurs, what advice would you give them about the importance of making sure they don't leave themselves behind on the journey? It's great to be able to want to bring others along, but the importance of not leaving themselves behind.
I think, having a great circle. For one, I have a great publicist, shameless plug, Cyrus Webb, who really keeps me focused on what the object is at hand. Sometimes, doesn't mean that your heart can be in the right place, but what you want, does that align with your goals and your mission and your vision and your message? And are you being clear? You need people who are going to be able to both love on you at the same time, but also hold you accountable. So I would say check your circle. I would also say check yourself, because sometimes you have to recognize that you yourself can be the problem. And I know that Chanelle is right here. Sometimes you be the problem. So being able to do both of those things helps to keep you on path.
Yeah. Chanelle, this is not your first release this year. I'm going to highlight for those joining us on the Amazon side. You also released an anthology this year as well. Talk to us about that and what it was like, because it was a subject that's near and dear to your heart. Talk to us about that and what it was so special about for that book for you.
Well, the anthology that I had the opportunity to be a part of was talking about grief with Ivy Caldwell. She was the visionary for transitioning to the other side. As you know, my story is very impacted with grief by the loss of my parents, both of my siblings, my daughter. It was a space where I wanted to be able to share and to also provide some opportunity to be able to help others transition throughout this process. I don't think you ever can really truly be quote unquote prepared for the loss of the loved one, but just understanding how to transition and not to lose yourself in the grief process, because that's a very real thing.
Yeah, and I've always appreciated your transparency. And one thing about you too, if anyone has not read any of your other work, again, I have here. She said yes to herself unapologetically, but there's also the book Naked and Not Ashamed. We're going to highlight it for you guys over there on the Amazon side as well. So, I mean, for yourself, I mean, you've been a part of books, solo titles like the new book, The Empower Her Blueprint. Chanelle, you've also been a part of anthologies. Talk to us about what it's been like for you to see the way that people respond to your voice and people respond to your own story. What has that been like for you?
Cyrus, I think when you're going through your period or your difficulty, your valley moments, sometimes you can lose focus and you feel like, woe is me and only I, are going through this thing. And it gives you a moment to be able to rise above your story and not to be in your story. And to be able to also see that how your story can benefit and help others. You know what I mean? Because we're not, that much different, no matter who you are, what walk of life you have, what your circumstances may be. We all are acquainted with grief. We all understand pain. We all understand the necessity to be able to transition from difficult moments and to be able to propel ourselves forward. So I think that those are things that we all can align with. And it's been something that's been very rewarding for me. And it's been a full circle moment, being able especially to do live events where people are able to talk to you and to engage, to talk about the insights that you shared and how it touched them or how it ministered to them. And it helps you to be able to help others. You just feel good about yourself when you know that you're doing something that's also a positive change for someone else.
Mm, great message. Conquer with Chris. Chris Collier, hello to you over there on IG. Chris says, great interview. Thank you, Chris. Camilla, good to be able to see you over there. Camilla Flanagan is joining us over there on IG as well. See you guys over there on YouTube as well. If you guys have any questions or comments for Chanelle, make sure you guys put those in the chat. So we're celebrating a few things with Chanelle today. Of course, it is National Entrepreneurship Month, so we're talking about her own journey. She also has a #1 new release that's out now. The Empower Her Blueprint is out now for pre-order. It comes out officially November 21st. So you guys still have some time to be able to go ahead. You guys are going to see they're already a #1 in release. But she also is gearing up for a big event in December. Now, Chanelle, that's one of the things Chanelle was talking about earlier. Chanelle's very excited about this event coming up in December. I was like, Chanelle, let's not forget the book. Let's talk about the book first. But we're going to talk about the event coming up. In fact, we're doing a special edition of Cyrus Webb Presents just based on it. But to kind of whet people's appetite, Chanelle, talk to us about what's coming up in December and why you're excited about it.
Well, Cyrus, thank you. I'm really excited about it. The experience was birthed from this book, the Empower Her Blueprints. What we're thinking about during the end of the year, usually, we're depleted at this point. Our cups are running empty. We've been pouring out into so many other people's spaces and places and things. And we need to be intentional about pouring back into ourselves. And so I thought about what was going to be something that was going to help to motivate, encourage, and inspire women in this last quarter to be able to position them to be able to go into 2025 and beyond in their best foot, with their best foot forward. And so I came up with the She Planted, She Watered, She Bloomed, Get Up and Go Girl Women's Empowerment Luncheon. It's a She Said Yes to Herself event. And so women are going to be able to have tangible insights, powerful takeaways. They're going to hear some moving speeches from some of the people that we have coming to the stage. We're going to have some amazing vendors. It's going to be a time to be had. So, ladies, if you are in the city of Milwaukee or any surrounding city, make sure you guys pull up on us on December 8th, 2024 at King Hall from 2 to 6:30 p.m.
Wow. We're going to get more details about that. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking. We have a show dedicated to that coming up as well for Cyrus Webb Presents for you guys joining us on the social media platforms. So stay tuned to that. So, Chanelle, so much of your platform has been built on vulnerability and
Mm-hmm.
authenticity. I want to talk about what is giving you the courage to lean into that because it is not easy to be vulnerable. It's not easy to be authentic. It's not easy to say, I'm not okay. It's not easy to say that I'm hurt. What is giving you the courage to do that?
Cyrus, that's ironic. It's actually my own pain points. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, I was accosted by my older foster brother, and the incident left me running naked. Um, we had a two-story home, and so I'm running naked from our downstairs up to the upstairs where my grandparents and aunts and uncles lived. And when I ran upstairs and I'm naked and I'm so excited that I'm getting away, from this situation. My grandmother, she's holding my brother at the time, and she looks at me and she screams. I forgot that I was naked, and she's like, Chanelle, where are your clothes? And it wasn't until that moment that she said that I actually remembered first that I was naked. And, I was just thinking of so much of getting away that I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I was naked. But I felt a moment of sense of shame, a moment of sense of just being down and downtrodden. I just felt like, guilt, all of these different things that I experienced because of being naked at that moment. And when I wrote my first book, I called it Naked and Not Ashamed because I felt like I was going to strip down and bare myself, but this time I wasn't going to allow myself to feel ashamed. I wasn't going to allow myself to feel triggered. I wasn't going to speak at a space from being a victim, but as a survivor of various circumstances and situations. And so when I speak to women, I feel like the most, I guess, full circle or most empowering thing is for me first to take off my mask if I'm asking someone else to take off theirs.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think there's some people that can relate to that. Brandon Coleman, hello to you over there on IG. I'm glad to be able to see you over there as well. And just by your sharing that just now, because of course, you've never shared it on this platform. I know you've talked about this before, Chanelle. What is it like for you to have women in particular, but now, unfortunately, there are men too who know what that's like. What has it been like for you to hear from them about how you sharing your story has helped them to be able to share their own stories?
Cyrus, I think that that's the most fulfilling thing about the entire experience. At the time when I was telling the story, I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I would watch people's, faces and expressions when I would tell them the details of what transpired that day. And I saw shock, I saw, outrage, I saw, embarrassment, all of these various things. My mom felt very guilty, which was nothing was her fault. But just as a parent, you feel that way because you want to shield and protect your child. And so no one told me not to say anything, but that's how I felt by just witnessing something that both shocked and terrorized adults and children alike. And so it made me be quiet. And when I first started speaking about the things that I've encountered, people would come up to me and they would tell me, thank you, I've never told anybody this, but this happened. And I saw that there was an exchange that took place between me being the person who was speaking and the person who was receiving it. And they had their own stories. And so it gave me a sense of empowerment because I was empowered. It allowed them to break their own silence and to tell their story.
Exactly. And you just said something I want to key in on because I think it's an important thing for anyone. I have not been, a victim of abuse, a survivor of abuse, but you just said something about your mother. You said, what she felt, and you said it wasn't her fault. How important was it for Chanelle to realize that it wasn't Chanelle's fault either?
You know what, Cyrus? It took a while. Initially I could say this nice, it's not your fault. And even when I got older and various things happened, she would always say, "Well, I'm so," and I would say, "Mom, it's not your fault. Like you didn't do anything." And so many times you just take on that role or mentality of a victim and you blame yourself. Well, what did I do? Or how could I have done things differently? Or what if I hadn't have done this? And you have to understand that these situations are not really about sex. It's more so about control and power. And that there is nothing that you did to incite these things. That sometimes people don't have the best of intentions and don't always mean you well. And
Yeah.
so, you have to be able to forgive yourself for the things that you had to do to survive traumatic experiences and understand that it's not your fault and take back your power.
Exactly. And you've been able to help individuals do that. And I just wanted to put that out there because I think for those who are survivors of abuse, it's so important for them to know it is not their fault, what happened to them. And like Chanelle, you can be able to thrive even in the face of situations like that. So with that being said, then Chanelle, one thing we have not talked about because it really was one of the things that just came out of nowhere, and that is you're being your own talk show host. Talk to us about the show. Tell us the name of the show and what it's all about.
Well, I love it. I'm actually back on Trivia's Inspirational Radio Network. We took about a year and a half a hiatus away. And so initially when I was on the show, I was calling it She Said Yes to Herself Unapologetically. And coming back to the show at this point, I thought, well, I want to say something a little bit more about myself and just about others, their journey. And they may or may not be female. And so I just thought about Unapologetically Unplugged. It's a place where we talk about transparent conversations. It's authentic, where we kind of show up as our authentic selves, but we embrace that. It's also a space for inspiration, empowerment, motivation. And it's a place where we're going to clap on you and love on you, but also hold you accountable at the same time. So I love it. I love being able to meet with the guests. I had a great interview yesterday with Dr. Velma Bagby. If you guys didn't have a chance to check that out, please make sure that you go ahead and watch it. Pick up her book series, the Catch series. You will not be disappointed or grab some of her swag. Wow, swag, Women of Worth. And make sure you guys get that, put it on the holiday list for someone that you know.
Exactly. Hello to you, Tina Siemens. Tina's joining us over on IG. Chanelle, another part of the CMG family. Good to be able to see you over there as well. So, a lot of great things happening for you. We mentioned you doing your motivational speaking. You have the upcoming event in December. You have a brand new book, the Empower Her Blueprint, coming out November the 21st. As well as, of course, just being able to continue to do your work as an entrepreneur. What is your hope, Chanelle, as people kind of see what you're doing? What do you hope you're able to do in motivating other people to follow their goals and dreams?
Cyrus, I'm hoping that it's going to be able to be a survival guide, a roadmap on how to be able to execute and not to eliminate excuses. I was that person who would say, I want to do this, but, and I allowed fear, as a main instigator to be able to hold me hostage. I want to do this, but I gave scared permission to be able to hold me back from my goals, my gifts, and my God given abilities. And I want that person to eliminate those excuses and to simply do it scared, to understand that your fears don't have permission to be able to hold you hostage to limiting beliefs, that it's up to you to exercise faith over fear and walk boldly in your purpose.
Love that. Again, everyone, Chanelle Coleman Wesley has been our guest. She's a best-selling author, motivational speaker, media personality, and all-around great person. Chanelle, great to be able to have you back on the program. Congratulations on all the great things that are happening. Again, you guys go ahead. I'm going to highlight it again for you guys on Amazon. Her new book is the Empower Her Blueprint. I'm showing it again for you guys. Already a number one new release. It's available for pre-order right now. It officially comes out on November the 21st. Chanelle, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you?
Cyrus, again, I want to thank you so very much for the push, for being you, and thank you for holding my feet to the fire. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to be on this platform. People can stay in touch with me by following me across social media, Chanelle Coleman Wesley, or they can email me at chanellecolemanwesley@gmail.com.
All right. Let's see. Tina says, "I gave scare permission on holding you hostage. Powerful. You really, I mean, have a way of saying things, Chanelle. I give Chanelle a hard time sometimes, I admit, but she really has a way of being able to put into words, I think, what so many people are feeling. And Chanelle, so proud of you as well. Looking forward to our next chat together for sure. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care."